Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay? All right. Thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you for being patient and hanging out and waiting for us. I would like to welcome you to our fourth and final salon here on Roosevelt Island. It is sponsored by Open Doors through a grant by Humanities New York. And Open Doors is an arts and social justice collective made up of Kohler Hospital and Rehab Center residents. One of the current initiatives of Open Doors is called Nursing Home Lives Matter, hence the shirt. And it was formed out of the residents here's shared experiences at Kohler during the COVID lockdown of 2020. I'd like to give a shout out to the reality poets who have been here every single salon that we have had. Thank you, all of you, for showing up. You're always here, you always got my back. And please feel free to ask any of the reality poets about the Roosevelt Island Nursing Home Lives Matter initiative afterwards, because they would be glad to answer any questions for you. This past year has really been rewarding for me personally. I feel honored to have been given this platform by Open Doors and to get to know our neighbors more intimately. It's been a really cool journey. I'm an artist myself, and I truly believe in the power of the arts to enrich our lives. Art can give us a safe space to explore our joys, our fears, and even our anger sometimes, and that's a good thing. At each of these salons, I've opened the evening and opened the circle up with a Langston Hughes poem called My People. And I think most of you have been here previously, so you should be pretty good at it by now. We're going to do a call and response of My People. I will say the lines and you'll say them right back to me. My People by Langston Hughes.
My People by Langston Hughes.
The night is beautiful.
The night is beautiful.
So the faces of my people.
So the faces of my people.
The stars are beautiful.
Stars are beautiful.
So the eyes of my people.
So the eyes of my people.
Beautiful also is the sun.
Beautiful also is the sun.
Beautiful also are the souls of my people.
Beautiful also are the souls of my people.
Thank you. So, this fourth salon is entitled, the subject is Poetic Translation. We'll be having a conversation with my guest, Var Lawrence. And Var is a poet, artist, activist, and a resident of Kohler. And Micheline Hess, who is a visual artist, bookmaker, comic book author, animator, and resident of Roosevelt Island since she was a kid. I'm so thankful they're both here as my guests for our final salons. Thank you. So, what is a salon? You guys kind of know the drill by now because you've been here. But I always like to read the Webster's definition of it. It says, a fashionable assemblage of notables, such as literary figures, artists, or statesmen, held by custom at the home of a prominent person. And I love this definition because it gives us all a sense of importance. And I think we're pretty damn important. And as we know also, a salon can also be a beauty salon, right? Or a barbershop. And that gives us connotations of intimacy, a place where men and women go literally to let their hair down. And I hope this second definition will give us a sense of ease as we get to know our two guests and each other better tonight. I always like to start out kind of in an order of early life, early experiences of my two artists. And Var, I learned that as a child, you used to draw with your uncle. Is that right? You want to tell them about that?
Yeah. Back in the days growing up, I used to watch my uncle draw, and he used to draw the comics or whatever. And comes to him, and I picked it up and just started drawing. I just studied comics. And my first cartoon comic, I believe, was Ziggy.
Do you guys remember Ziggy?
Oh, yeah.
Anything's possible. It can't move too far because it's one. Mic check, check, check. Is that better? Pardon? Have I been too quiet? Gotcha. I wonder if I turn it this way, if it's not going to do feedback. Hey, can you hear me okay? Better-ish? We're going to stop now. I think it's going to be what it's going to be. So I'll try and speak up, and hopefully there won't be feedback. Var, you also told me like what it was about Ziggy that you used to why you used to. Do you remember it?
I actually know, but it was more easier to draw.
Exactly. I was like, what made you want to draw him? And he was like, told me the obvious, it was easy to draw. And I remember those kinds of things when I was a kid too. Like we used to draw the Peanuts comics. He said he used to do that as well. And it's like Charlie Brown, it was easy to draw. And Snoopy, and he would draw Snoopy on that little doghouse. And those were great ways of teaching kids to draw. And I asked Micheline too, like, what were some of your early influences as far as drawing? And
I said Odie from Garfield and Odie. Oh, okay.
remember Odie?
Yeah.
Like, I love how these guys,
Yeah.
you know, and that's so random that two people would have a really similar sensibility, but like, I feel like there's a huge correlation between, like what she did and what he did. And I think kids are drawn to those kind of simple drawings when we start out. They're incredibly expressive with just a minimal of, line. And that's what's kind of amazing about them. You also, Micheline, you went to PS 217.
Yeah, right downstairs. I never had an excuse to be late for school. It was literally, I lived in Westview when I was a kid, so we would just roll out of bed, go down the stairs, and we were at school. Yeah, no excuses for tardy.
And how were they? Did they teach you art and stuff there? Or
We did art classes, but it was like in the school, like there were generally like one or two or three other people who could draw, and that was it. So we would just be like, cool. So it was a way to kind of offset the fact that I was just I'm still a huge nerd, but I had like buck teeth, my glasses were even thicker, thanks to technology. We used to draw, and it got to a point where it was kind of out of control because I was drawing on everything. And so my 5th grade teacher, Miss Leifer, convinced my mother to find me outlets for that. So she signed me up for classes at the Art Students League.
so you started there like super early as a little kid. And I love that because I didn't have opportunities like that. New York is such a great place to give kids opportunities, and it's super cool that your parents and your teacher like saw that you had gifts like that. Also, you guys, a similarity between you both that I've seen looking at your work that I'll show you guys examples of is they both have a strong sense of family and friends within their artwork, and I've got examples of a couple of things that I'll show you. Var's, he does a lot of his family and like domestic things like that, which is his grandbaby. And he also did pictures of. He's also been really good with like the crew here, and does pictures of the reality poets. And we've got a couple of those. Hold those up. I love these a lot, and I feel like you get a strong sense of what these guys mean to you. And I think that artists have a great way of being able to translate that, and I think Var is an example of somebody that does really good work like that. And Micheline,
Helicopters.
I know, right? Micheline has some comic books that she's done. She's not only illustrated them. Can you guys hear me without the mic? Okay. Gotcha. Right. She has two comic books that kind of, to me, fall in the same way with the family faith. She has one called All Saints Day Adventure, and it takes place in St. Vincent, where your mom is from. Is that right? So,
so like a decade and change ago, I fell in love with anime, I love one of the things I loved about anime and manga was that they really pull very heavily from their culture and folklore and their stories, the different kinds of spirits and gods and goddesses and animals and things like that. And I was thinking to myself, wow, how cool would it be if I could do that? But I could do that like almost like one with black people, just all black people. So I went to look more closely at where my mother was from, which was the island of St. Vincent. And, I started looking, and it was like, wow, there's such an abundance of stuff. You got all kinds of jumbies and things like that, duppies and whatnot. So I created a story about something she used to tell me about when I was a kid, which is called a sukanya, or skinwalker, where they wear the skin of a human during the day, and then at night they take it off and they hide it so they can go on a search for victims. And so the kids in the book use the Anansi stories as a means to kind of help them figure out different challenges in life, and so that's why they wear these little like animal head masks. And then at the end, I try and also give some information about like what do the stone mills represent. Like you see them in different kinds of pictures and in calendars. They're very iconic, but what were they used for? So I talk about that, and basically the way slavery kind of links up with that, as well as kind of showing where the location of the island was and stuff.
I love how this particular book here, she takes this little trio of kids, and they have this great little friendship together. And I like how the kids, you have a very beautiful, specific look of how you draw and animate things. And they feel like real little kids to me. And they have like real little kids' bodies and all their funniness. They're intricate like that. And I feel like she captures the joy of kids when you're little and where you don't have adults around you. You do like all these crazy things. And they sneak out and they do these little adventures. And this book, I think, really captures that. And I love it. And I feel really cool that we get to meet somebody that not only draws really beautifully, but she writes really beautiful stories from the heart and taking bits of, this is where my family is from, this is where my mom is from, and it gives us an opportunity to, teach kids. You're sneaky at teaching kids in your comic books, and I really love that about you. And I think that is a gift. She has another book that I love called Alice in Ovenland, and this collection is like 4 comic books worth in here, and she can explain it a little bit where this ties into the family thing again. This whole thing starts out with a little girl who's being raised by her mom, and then mom goes off and the kid's got all these responsibilities, and then she has this adventure. But it's like, I like how you tie families together, and I like once again how kids have real bodies in this. You do some hilarious air humidity action in this thing, and you want to tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, so one of the things that I've always wanted to do was tell a story that centered Black kids, that was the kind of story that I used to see on like Saturday morning cartoons. That was kind of the energy that I wanted to have in the story. And growing up as part of the latchkey generation, it was a thing. Like, you would get home and your parents would be there, and you'd have a list of stuff to do, which I would probably start doing like once I heard the key going into the lock. But anyway, so Lily she lives in Queens with her mom, and she's doing the chores, and she gets sucked down into the oven, and there's this world of these creatures that live in that, and for a long time they've lived, and they're based their entire society around the grease, like the greasy, crispy little like dribblings that would come down into the oven. And so as Lily's mom started turning towards a more nutritious diet, their grease supply is drying up, so they're really kind of heated it with her. So she has to figure out, what to do, and it's got elements of friendship in it. Yeah, he was saying the thing about the hair that changes, and that was something that I also wanted to focus on, was Black hair, and the way it can change with humidity, with sometimes it's puffy, sometimes you can get out under control, sometimes you really can't. And yeah, it was kind of like a love letter to Saturday morning cartoon kind of comic energy.
And this book again too, she tricks kids into learning about nutrition, and that's another clever thing I feel like about your work. It's teaching kids what's good for them, and without banging them over the head. And you also take elements of, this is called Alice in Ovenland, which obviously sounds like Alice in Wonderland. And you take elements of things that were like Alice in Wonderland. And she does, her writing is enjoyable for adults as well, who have to read these things to their kids or give them, to their kids. I love young authors for young people who have little bits of elements in there for adults. For instance, there's this little character of a roach in it, and his name is Max the Roach. And people who are music buffs like me, I'm like, we're doing Max Roach, the jazz drummer and composer, right? And then because you have a dad who loves jazz music, and blah blah. You can talk for yourself.
Yeah, so Max was so there are all kinds of creatures that live down there, and Max is like a guard roach. They don't have dogs, so they have, he's basically kind of big and buff. Yeah, he's very dog-like though. It's interesting you should say about tricking into nutrition, because I got this one review on Amazon that talked about how I was trying to convert people to veganism, but that's really wasn't it. I don't have a problem with eating meat. But yeah, I just like to send positive messages, and that was one of them. Yeah.
And the books definitely feel like that. The next category I always like to ask our artists about also because it's still kind of fresh in a bad way, is the pandemic. And did it influence your work at all? And if so, in what ways? And Var, I was wondering if it had anything to do with your practice.
Pretty much, but because I had nothing else to do. We was on lockdown and 24/7, every day. So every time on my free time, I take a picture or whatever pictures I had and I manipulated it and send it out. Whatever I could do.
And that was kind of, that was definitely like the pressure cooker time for so many of us. And one of the things that Var did was began to do portraits in tribute to all the Black people who were dying, who were, whether it was specifically police violence, whether, not all of the people died from that, but all the Black people that were dying, and to just remember their names. And when George Floyd died, when he was murdered, that was like he just threw into the gas, like it was throwing so much gas onto that fire that was already there. And I like that he found a way to honor people. And I've got several portraits here. I was only able to print them out in black and white, so please forget that, because my machine busted up today. But there's really beautiful portraits that we had. And I was wondering if you wanted to speak about that and why or what that did for you.
Somebody asked me to do it. Var Lawrence. I was asked to do it for somebody actually. So they took it one time, basically, on lockdown. And I just did that most of my time.
I know you never know as an artist how your work is going to affect other people. And I know just seeing those for me as an artist too, and for me with all the other senseless killings that were going on, like the church in Charleston, where like somebody goes and does a congregation, all these senseless things, the gay bar in Orlando, Pulse Club, and like somebody going in there and just like taking people out. And I remember that. I used to live in Orlando in high school, and seeing my people dying in a bar like that too. Like, where do you go with that anger? And I feel like you helped me actually to be able to have a place to go with that, and I'm thankful for that. So, you also, let's find out what you did.
During the pandemic, I was very, very lucky in that I had a job that allowed me to work remotely. Most of the time, I worked from bed because at the same time I was taking care of my mom as her dementia got increasingly worse and worse. And it just got to a point where the safest place I felt was in my bedroom. But fortunately, because I had the job, I was able to acquire things that helped me sort of manage those feelings. And like one of the things that I started getting into was VR. And I got a headset that didn't have to be plugged in. And it was great because it was like an isolation chamber for me. I would just go in there and, I'm sure my cats were like, but yeah, it's, you could build things, you could create whole things, and you could load up environments and just sit there. People would throw raves where there was music and, light lit up sculptures and animated things in the sky. And you just kind of like, try and decompress for a little while. So yeah, it was that kind of thing. And it was great creative journey because it also led me towards practicing 3D animation and 3D modeling. So there's a software out there called Blender. It's amazingly powerful and it's free. And they don't charge anything for it. You can give them money if you want, but it's incredibly robust. So I was kind of leaning into that and using creativity as a way to sort of remove myself from reality for a while.
I think one of the things that came out of the pandemic as well too is how to, people were angry, and how do you express that? And I don't know that these poems were written during this time, but Var has two really amazing poems that I've been drawn to. One is called Just My Thoughts, and the other is called Something About Me. And Var's writing with the reality poets. I know a lot of these guys work, and you guys all write very differently, and you all come from really different points of view. And I know that if I need my day brightened, I go to Francine, and she will always, we all know that she will bring a smile to our face. But Var does a thing that not a lot of people do, and not a lot of people dare to do, which is he doesn't sugarcoat anything, and it's not writing for your comfort zone. And these two poems, I feel like, show that in a really good way. And I didn't know if you have those on your phone. I have them printed out as well, too, if you would want to read them.
There be days that I wish that I was shot in my head. Instead, I'm fucking stuck in the hospital bed. To the left when the pool up was all right. Instead, I'm left with a body that's half dead. Only if he has that bracelets off about an inch or two, I won't have to be here telling my story to you. There be days that I wake up feeling blue. Because there's days that I didn't get a chance. Only if it was off for what I injured you. I wanna be here having to tell my story to you. Every days that I wake up feeling blue. Because there's things that you didn't get a chance to do. I can't even teach my son how to play ball or pick up and run if he needs me at the drop of his call. It's just punishment for all the wrong that I did. Now I've been sentenced to a wheelchair, a life sentence bed. And now some other nigga is fucking my chick. I'm waiting for the nurse to come force my dick. There be days that I wish like I shot my head. Instead, I'm fucking stuck in a hospital bed. So that he could have left me a food in a food that was all right. Instead, I'm left with a body that's half dead. Only if you just feel my pain, you know how I feel. You wake up with a body that can't feel. To drop something on the floor and you can't feel. To have an orange in your hand and you can't feel. To make a feeling that you don't care about yourself. Or not even giving two fucks about your own health. To wish that you were lying 6 feet deep. Thinking to yourself that this can't be life. And having thoughts about taking your own life. Damn. There were days that I wish I got shot in my head. Instead, I'm fucking stuck in a hospital bed. Why couldn't he give me the food that was okay? Instead, I'm left with a body that's half dead.
Thank you. Would you want to read the other poem, or?
They say I ride around like I don't have no respect. How would you feel if you got shot in your neck? Laying on the ground, trying not to take your last breath. try not to close your eyes because sleep is the cousin of death. Can't believe that you just been shot in front of your son, or you're laying on the floor watching the person that shot your brother. I was laying on the floor gasping for air, looking at the faces of people that I could tell that they cared. They were hoping that I didn't put up a fight, only because they wanted to see me down that night. Ambulance coming about 30 minutes late. One of you is to yourself when it's being fake. People asking that anyone fall asleep before me. People whisper, police whispering in my ear. You should have died, motherfucker. Thinking to yourself that this can't be the end. You can't believe that I just been shot by somebody who was supposed to be a friend. You better hope that this is the end of my life. I'm having thoughts about killing him and his wife. Waking up the handcuffs and wondering why family members have tears in their eyes. I had drugs in one pocket and a gun in the other. Tears rolling down the face of my mother. Doctor comes in shaking his head, telling me that I would never walk again. I would be stuck to his bed. Told me I needed a trach in my neck to help me breathe. Visited hours to over, don't want my baby mama to leave. Then looking up to the sky and asking God why. Did he stay me and just didn't let me die? At that moment he spoke to me and said, "You are special to me. I have one snow for you. Just wait, you'll see." I told him I didn't want to hear that shit unless he gave me back the ability to walk. He said, "My child, I just gave you back the ability to talk. I gave y'all a part of my life to see. I know nothing about y'all, but now you know a little bit about me."
Not a lot of people write like you. I appreciate it. You know, somebody that can write like that, and at the same time, both Var and Elle were two of the first reality poets that I met here. And I remember early on seeing them on the Red Bus, and they recognized me. They said, "Hey," and Var has one of the warmest smiles that you don't forget when you see him. And the same person that can write really difficult things like that at the same time can welcome you here. And I felt like those two guys welcomed me into this community. And those are weird little opportunities that we get. And we only have one chance for that. They could have like pretended that they didn't know who the hell I was on the bus, but they didn't. And I'll always be thankful. Micheline, I don't mean to be a downer because I'm not. I'm thankful for these guys. One of the kind of crazy things that Micheline has written as well too is your werewolf book, Diary of a Mad Black Werewolf. And I feel like this is uncompromising in the same sort of way. It's a vicious book, but it's amazing. I love this. You've helped me have a really better understanding of comics. I was never that person so much, and I love how you write. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about this book, because I feel like to relate this. Yeah.
So every year I used to do this thing called Inktober, which is like a social media art event where they release 31 days worth of prompt words, and you draw something every day to match a prompt word, and then you post it and you use the hashtags. And it used to be just like one guy doing it to help himself draw more consistently, but I kind of it's become more of a thing where they are like offering prizes and stuff. So I decided that instead of doing one post every day, I would write a story with the words and kind of stitch them together. And at that time, I wasn't working on any kid stuff. I think I had just lost my job actually, and I didn't really feel like doing the, hey kids, like I wanted to do something else. I wanted to do something that was just more kind of, because it was also around Halloween, something kind of brutal. So I started taking a lot of my feelings about what I was seeing every day. Philando Castile being shot, Brianna, I forgot her last name. Taylor, yes. All these different people, and it's just wild that it's like the people who are doing these things, they're never really made to atone for those crimes. Just recently you watched the news about a woman who was shot through the door after her neighbor started yelling at her kids during their party or when they were playing or whatever. They didn't even arrest her immediately. They're like, oh, we have to investigate it. It's like, yeah, she shot her through the door. Like, what do you have to do? Anyway, I made a story about a pack of female werewolves that live in Harlem. And they basically hunt down and kill and eat racist people. And that's just sort of, they're there for that. And so it was really interesting trying to create a part of the story every day and post it by the end of the day and a picture too. But I used that as a means to kind of just express my rage and frustration, my sadness over those kinds of things, and exploring the notion of like, what could you make happen if you were an immortal being and you didn't have to worry about a bullet, or other conventional means of being destroyed. Kind of changes up the whole game, and people really responded to it very well. So, people were like, "Are you gonna collect it, put it together?" So I did, and so yeah, there it is. I finally finished.
It's a fierce little book, and we have copies of that and another comic up here of hers, and they are for sale if any of you would like to have some swag. Promoting her books up here. They're really wonderful, and that werewolf book is incredibly uncompromising, and I love it for that. It's like the show Dexter kind of thing. It's pretty amazing. I was wondering, she's written another really sweet book that I'd kind of like to end what you see of their work, and it's called Snow Dog, and it's one of these wonderful little accordion kind of books. I love those. I love books that they feel like a piece of art at the same time, and this is it's a small and simple book, but it has a really sweet message to it, and I was wondering if you could actually read like a story time to us.
Oh,
it's
sure.
a nice book.
Okay, once upon a time, I had a dog named Bailey. This is true, by the way. The morning after a heavy snowfall, we'd go to the park. So this is me drinking my Irish Dub coffee with Bailey. The air was still and heavy, and the trees were like a snowy cathedral. We would pretend that I was an explorer lost in the Alaskan wilderness. So this was Forest Park, and yeah, we would go on the trails, and I would pretend that I was lost. It was just a nice way. And a wild wolf became my friend. He would lead me back to civilization, and we ran down the trails, over logs. So it's funny. Of course, I'm far behind. Through snow-covered thickets until we made it out of the park, and we go back home and have something good to eat. There's more. Every first snow makes me think of him. Bailey was a great dog.
And that's it. Oh, what a nice tribute to a dog.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like sometimes I wonder, there's a kind of a twilighty nature to the imagery because it also kind of deals with death a little bit and just like what everyone's idea of heaven is, not needing to be necessarily rich or anything like that, but just being able to go for a fun walk with your dog and go home after that, and like put on dry clothes, something cheesy on TV, make something good to eat. Like comfort, I guess that's a lot of heat for me.
I think it's easy to relate to. The last question I want to ask you guys is about your practice, where you're headed these days. And I don't know, are you doing more poetry work? Are you doing, more visual arts work? Are you doing more social justice work? Where are you headed these days?
Truthfully, I just started on all. I just started on poetry, more art and more social justice work. So I'm looking forward to doing that.
And you're about to have a break too, which means. And Micheline, I know you're working on a new book, so I'm sure.
Actually, one of the really, really great things that happened over the pandemic was that a friend of mine put me in touch with their literary agent. And so it was a way for me to, and she took me on. She was like, older woman, real battle spirit. And she took me on and she started getting me work from mainstream publishing houses. So I'm currently working on adapting the children's young adult novel Bud, Not Buddy, which takes place in 1930s Flint, Michigan. It's during the Great Depression, and it's all about this young boy, Bud, who escapes from this really wicked foster family and goes on a quest to find his father and all the people he meets along the way. He's a really great character. I kind of fell in love with that character because he never like gave up. He was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to walk to this place, and I'm gonna go to the library and figure out like what the walking time is between here and there. So he's a really admirable character, really tough little guy.
And so you're working on a graphic novel version of this, correct?
Yeah, so I'm taking the book and converting it to graphic novel format, which changes some things in terms of the way the words present themselves, and also illustrating.
If you guys have any questions, it's the Q&A time. If you'd like to ask any questions of our guests, if you want to raise your hand.
What gives you inspiration to draw?
As far back as I can remember, I was always drawing. But I think the thing that inspires me the most is that I can use my art to sort of take myself other places. So, if I felt bad about something, if I was worried about stuff happening in the real world, it's a great thing as a kid to be able to sort of take yourself someplace else when in any other way you lack the autonomy to do that. And I just can't stop.
I'll ask you the same question. What gives you inspiration to draw?
I could say pretty much the same thing. Escaping, boredom, having nothing to do, like you said, just when I want to escape or just have nothing to do, I go somewhere else.
Thank you.
I can bring a mic to people too if you want.
Question for both of you. Who are your creative heroes? And it doesn't have to be visual art. Anything.
Was he an artist?
The one that taught you to draw.
Taught me.
Yeah, Chip took your mic away, Micheline, sorry.
I would have to say at the core of everything, my mom is my greatest artistic inspiration because she's the one who signed me up for classes. She's the one who dragged home the art table that I still have in my bedroom. And this was before Amazon, of course, so like you can imagine bringing home this clunky, very awkward, box. My father was the one who put me onto comics. I don't think he had any idea what he started when he did that, but yeah. And then a lot of people beyond there. But, right now I'm really feeling Mobius because I love the detail and imagination.
Anybody else? You like what that book looks like out there? It's kind of impressive, right?
That's why I said just hold it as a line of you.
Right?
Creating the template for that book was because I couldn't find a template anywhere to make an accordion book, and so I kept telling the printer, like, no, I'm sending you the template, do it this way. He's like, I don't know what you want us to do here, lady, but, so yeah, it was interesting, and then each book has to be built by hand, which is also kind of, I need to hire an intern.
I hope somebody got a picture of all you guys for that, because that's your Christmas card this coming year. Anybody? Questions?
Hey, thank you guys both for this. This is amazing. It's so cool to learn more about everyone that we already know, but now we know more. So that's really great. Thank you, Thom, for doing that. I wanted to, and the accordion reminds me of the other salon you did with the fabric and the books, remember? And Cronenberg, yeah. So I don't know, nobody really mentioned it, but Var, like there was a time, maybe, I don't know if that was Alex or someone else, we could send in photos of our family or our friends, and then like you made it pop and art from a photo. And I remember you did that of me and my brother and sister. I gave you a kid's photo, right? 3 ragamuffin kids. And you made us just like immortalized in that moment with your art, and my brother and sister were so happy to have it. So I just want to thank you for, sharing your art out. That was a big deal. Never did anything like that before.
I still do it too.
Yeah, tonight I want to say, thank you. Your work is beautiful. It's talented. That's a lot of talent you have. And I want my portrait next. So you have to do one of me because I'm your favorite girl. And for the young lady, thank you for your work that you have done. It's beautiful work. Thank you. You both are talented.
Any other questions, comments? Otherwise, I thank you all for coming here. You guys have been amazing this past year. All so loyal showing up, and that really, really means a lot. We've got a pretty wonderful community here.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy and kind of great, all at the same time, and I love that. So thank you all for coming, and there's snacks if you want. We always have to bribe you to get here, so, there's and if you have any questions more about Nursing Home Lives Matter, please ask these guys. They'd be glad to answer any questions for you. Otherwise, thanks and have a great evening.